In the last module, I talked a little bit about creating a sanctuary in your home and how you feel when you walk into a space, how that energy affects you. And when you are in labor, your environment and the effect that it has on you is intensified so much, or it can be for the women that have their eyes open, or maybe their sense of smell is really sensitive. And that's also a thing to be aware of. All 5 of your senses are affected during birth, not just sight. For me, my eyes were closed during the entire birth, but I could smell the lavender, I could hear nice sounds, I felt soft material. There was a lot of senses that were really nurtured. So there are 3 main categories of environments that you could potentially birth in. There are home births, there are birth center births, and there are hospital births. Sure, some women have like a birth in a car or like those really random sporadic births, but if that's not happening to you, you can expect to be in one of those 3 environments. And so with those 3 environments, I recommend that first you kind of get a lay of the land. So for your home birth, I would recommend walking through your home, just getting a sense for how the different areas make you feel, getting a sense for the practicality of different spaces. How close is it to a bathroom? If you're going to have a water birth, can they have the hose come from that bathtub into this room? Ask yourself those questions. What's the lighting like? Do my children usually use this room? Ask all those practical questions. For a birth center, usually you'll be doing prenatals at the birth center. If not, make sure you can go and check out the space, specifically the space that you'll be birthing in. Spend some time in it, getting to know how you feel in the space, if there's anything you would want to change, to know what you would need to bring to the birth center to adjust the environment if needed. And then for a hospital birth, definitely go on the hospital tour. I actually recommend the hospital tour even if you're planning on a home birth or a birth center birth, in the event that you need a hospital transfer, so you don't feel like you're going into this completely foreign environment. You're somewhat familiar with it. So go on that tour, make sure you can see one of the labor and delivery rooms, one of the recovery rooms, and same thing with the birth center. Just get a sense for how you would want to shift the scene. And some common ways that you can do that, especially in the hospital, would be the candles that are battery powered. You can't have an open flame in a hospital. An essential oil diffuser, an electronic one. Again, no open flames, one that you can plug into the wall is what I mean by electronic. And make sure you have your favorite essential oils. The classic ones are lavender, peppermint, but bring in whatever feels good for you. A little trick with peppermint essential oil: if you put a few drops in the toilet bowl and you sit on it, if you're having a hard time urinating during birth, that can actually help you open up and release. A nice little fun side tip. And if you're somebody that is really sensitive to the materials on your skin, sometimes the hospital gown isn't the most appealing thing in the world, or the sheets might feel a little bit stiff, and you can go and feel the sheets when you're on the hospital tour. Really check it out with all 5 of your senses. And if you're not into those sensations, you can bring in your own nightgown, your own bathrobe, your own sheets, preferably items that you don't mind getting blood, fluid, all the birth stuff on. That is very normal and natural, but it might stain a little bit. But you can bring those in. You can bring in your own birth ball if the hospital doesn't provide that. You can bring in a little portable speaker and make sure you have your playlist of music that you find really soothing or really fun, whatever vibe you want going on during your birth. That might change throughout the different phases. You can have some of the recordings from this course on your phone or whatever device you're using so you can control the sound. I also recommend some earplugs if you feel like you don't want to hear anything at all, but there's chatter outside or in the room. I also recommend bringing some earbuds if you want to be the only person listening to whatever you're listening to. And think about the different sites in the room. So if there is that chart that has those faces from happy to I'm in agony, you don't really want to be looking at that, or at least I don't want to be looking at that. So you can totally just take that down, or you can bring something to just tape on top of that. Nobody will get mad at you for that. Be aware of the lighting. So close the blinds if you don't like the bright light. Overhead lights can really drain the energy in a space. So if you can turn on just a few lamps in the room, turn off those overhead lights. Again, you can have your little candles. I was just at a birth and it was so sweet. The mom had a few framed pictures of her dogs. They were like her babies and she wanted to feel like they were with her. She had a family photo, just like 3. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was really sweet. And she had a little banner for her baby, welcome to the world. She really thought about what she wanted to be looking at in her birthing space. And again, you might be somebody that has your eyes closed the whole time. You don't see anything, but your other senses will be working. And for taste, think about the taste that you want in your mouth. So during birth, you might be focused on birthing for a while. You might forget to brush your teeth. So bring your toothbrush. Do that if you feel like it. If you don't feel like doing that action, have some breath mints. Honey can taste really good. Maybe some lemon, some mint, some cucumber in your water. Anything that is refreshing or energizing to you or calming, if that's the sensation that you need. So again, tune into your 5 senses. And with a birth center, it's kind of in between the environments of home and a hospital. It's much more homey than a hospital, but it's still not your home. So again, check it out and notice if there's any additions that you need to bring in to enhance that environment to make it feel more like your space. And then for a home birth, make sure that you collect all the tools that you need to make the room that you'll be birthing in really sweet, really special. You can even make it kind of like a meditation room for a while to make the energy in that space whatever you want it to be. If you have children and you want them to get comfortable with the space you'll be birthing in, if you're going to choose to have them in there for certain phases, you can spend time with them in there. You can just really set the intention that you're going to infuse it with a lot of positivity, peace, again, whatever it is you want in that birthing space. So start thinking about it now. Pack those items in your hospital bag, your birth center bag, collect those items in the space in your home, and allow your 5 senses to guide you.
And you also can bring items into whatever room you're going to be birthing in that you have a direct association with like strength or power or something that you've cultivated a relationship with. So sometimes it's a framed picture of something, sometimes it's a rock or a crystal or something that you feel some kind of a connection with. And when you see it or hold it, it helps you remember something important. So it either helps you remember your child, your other children, and that connects you to yourself or to them. Or you remember that you're strong, you remember that you're powerful, you remember that you're connected, you remember whatever it is that you need to remember by holding it or seeing it, and you create a little special space for that stuff no matter what room you're in. Mm-hmm. And then actually being able to create your own environment around you. Like in another video, we talked a little bit about creating a force field around yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's a similar kind of a concept where you're taking that inner light that you have and that inner strength and all of those feelings and senses that you have inside of you that you're using your environment to help support. You're taking all of those feelings and you're kind of encompassing yourself with them so that no matter where you are or no matter what the actual circumstance ends up being in your birth, you are carrying that environment that you want to create around with you. So for instance, if you go into active labor much quicker than you imagined, mm-hmm. and you don't have time to set up your home birth space the way that you thought you were going to be mm-hmm. able to just go right into that environment within yourself. You create this imaginary force field around yourself, this container around yourself that signifies all of these important elements. So maybe you had imagined, well, you're going to have a home birth and because you were having a home birth, the room was going to look a certain way and the certain sheets were going to be on the bed and all of these certain things were going to happen. But like you go into labor quickly and you don't even have a time to do that. You don't have time to change your clothes. My whole joke with my home birth was that I ended up wearing a dress the entire 12 hours of my birth. I never took it off. Like I had no underwear on, but I didn't know, I had just had a dress and earrings on the entire time because I went, I know. And I still have those earrings. I won't wear them because they're like the most special thing to me now. I like feel them and I feel this power of my birth in them. But like I went so quickly into active labor that I didn't have time to do any of the things that I thought I was going to do. So I ended up just going right into the labor zone and not actually like putting on the clothes I thought I was going to put on or putting the sheets on the bed that I thought I was going to put on. And even though I was in a home setting, same thing with a hospital or a birth center. If you're in a birth center and for some reason you have to transition to a hospital, you want to be able to carry all those sacred, important elements of your environment with you to the next place. And most of that stuff, all of it, it's all there to create an inner experience. Every single little thing that you're doing, from the smells to the tastes to the visual landscape, you're creating it so that you give yourself an inner experience. So before you decide what you're going to put in your room and how you're going to set up your hospital room or how you're going to deal with the different things on the walls or the different smells and sounds, think about what it is that you want to cultivate on an inner level. What is the inner experience that you want to have? And therefore, what is it that you want to put around you in your environment? How do you want to set that up? And how can you then carry that with you, even if all of that were to go away? That is really the key point, because you can't rely on everything around you being a certain way in order to feel a certain way. You want to feel the way that you feel and hopefully be supported in that. But ultimately, you want to be able to feel the way you feel in an unconditional way. Even if you have to move, even if labor goes in a different direction than you thought it was going to go, even if it goes from a natural birth into having some interventions, no matter what the situation, you want to be able to carry that inner experience with you. So look at, why do you want your environment like that? What do you want to cultivate inside you? What do you want to feel? And then make an intention and work with yourself so that that feeling can be with you no matter what.
And that is really important to remember if you're going to be having a cesarean birth. Because although you really won't have control at all over that environment, you can have control of what's inside of you.
And that is really where the most power is. And again, coming back to our whole entire purpose of our approach is that path of self-discovery. Well, then there is no condition that's going to take that from you. Right. There's nothing in your environment that can take your discovery from yourself. You can't. It's something that is yours. It's something that you own. It's a choice that you're making. So all these other things, they seem important, but really they're just supportive pieces to something that is really, really unconditional inside you. So make sure when you're looking at how you want your room to be and you're investigating, how is this birth center room, or what do I want my bedroom to be like for a home birth, or how am I going to deal with being in a hospital setting? I want to be there. That's the right place for me, but the aesthetic is a hospital aesthetic. How am I going to deal with that? Well, ultimately, you deal with it because you are cultivating an inner experience, and it's not actually going to be conditional on your room around you. You're going to probably go into that labor zone. That's why we teach all of that, to get you into that flow. Once you get into that flow, most likely that other stuff isn't really going to matter anyway. So don't spend too much time fixating it on a way that like makes you feel that you won't be able to have what you need to have if it's different. Look at it like a support system for you, and ultimately this is where it's all going to happen, in your flow, in your zone, in your own inner experience.